Hi, Holly. I'm so excited to have you today. We are talking about a very important topic to me, and I think to a lot of other marketing business owners, especially women.
Mhm.
You said something the last time that we had a conversation, and I was like, oh my gosh, almost word for word, the exact conversation that I had just been having with another female marketing business owner. And the words were something like, I don't want to quote you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they were something like, if $1 million were to come to me from my business, I wouldn't say no, but all the things that you have to do to make that a reality and having a big team around you seems like more than I want to do. So what I'd like to create in my life is a business that I love and make enough money that I feel good about the income that I'm contributing to my life and my family.
Yes.
So that's the topic we're wrestling with. I don't know where I land on it right now because I do hear this refrain. There's a thought out there in the world right now that if we don't expand and somehow niche to scale ourselves and to grow, that we're robbing people of jobs that they could have and opportunities. And
Mhm.
there might be something valid to that. And
Yeah.
at the same time, it might not be the life that we want to create. So let's discuss amongst ourselves. I feel like just wrestling with this topic and talking through our experiences, maybe because I know that we've had fits and starts and pains around this topic. Maybe if we can share some of our experiences and what we're learning out of it, even if we don't land at here's an answer, I think there's a way for us to wrestle through this and just help other people think critically around what we're trying to create, what our goals are, and what life we want to be
Yeah.
creating for ourselves. Hey there, sorry to interrupt, but are you liking this content? Is it something that you're benefiting from? Are you learning something and growing a little bit from this content? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, do me a favor, hit that like button so the algorithm will send this out to more people just like you so that we can all build more profitable businesses and do more life together. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
So that was a lot. Go.
Well, I will start by saying if anybody wants to pay me $1 million, just feel free to call. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah, I'm on board.
That's totally okay.
Right. Well, okay. So along those lines, how would they find you? Maybe do a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Sure, absolutely. So yes, so Holly Fisher, I'm based in North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina, but I work with clients all over the place doing marketing messaging and copywriting and helping them get websites that are actually going to bring them sales and leads, and then creating things like email marketing campaigns and ongoing content and lead generation tools. So I usually kind of tell people it's like all the words, right? So I'll help you with all the words that you need to grow your business. And you can find me online at Fisher, which is FISHER creative.com.
And that's where you send the $1 million. If you're so
That's
inclined,
right.
that's where it goes.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Just drop me an email. I'll get you that link where it's all good.
Perfect.
Love it.
Okay, so let's dive into this topic. What made you even make that statement? To which I totally rallied around and I was like, we have to have a conversation about this. What made you make that statement?
Well, I think it's because I've been through sort of all the phases of this decision, right? So when I very first started my business, I sort of fell into having a business. It wasn't necessarily something that I had really planned. It was just kind of like, I think I'll have my business and I'll just do a few things and do some stuff that I like to do. And then it started to grow and develop. And pretty soon it was like, oh, okay, well, this is like a real business. And so I often people would say, well, are you going to hire anyone? Are you going to hire anyone? Are you going to hire anyone? And I really resisted that for the longest time because I was like, just it feels like a lot of work, right? I got to hire people, I got to manage people, all the things. And so I resisted it for a long time. And then I got to a point, I would say probably about maybe 4 to 5 years into my business, maybe 5-ish years into the business. I was like, I think this might be the time to hire someone. I changed my mind, right? The world has convinced me I need to hire someone. So I actually brought on two folks just on a contract basis. They were not full-time by any means. And they were fantastic. They were great. We had a really great time working together, but it didn't necessarily free me up like I thought it would, right? I think that's always kind of a little bit of the misperception is that, well, great, we'll bring in all these people to do the work, and I'll just like sit back and have time to do whatever I want to do, right? And it really kind of made more work, right? Because then of course I was managing people, and then we had I had the capacity to bring on additional clients. And so it was busy. It was great. And we, again, had a great, it was a really great time. We did a really lot of awesome, client work. And then after I got certified with StoryBrand, I really found that I enjoyed that type of work more. Previously, I was doing a lot of public relations, a lot of social media marketing, content creation, things like that. And I had kind of just gotten to a point where I was like, I don't think I want to do that work anymore. I think I really want to focus on this. And I really want to just kind of go back to doing my own thing. And actually, the two women that were working for me, they spun off their own businesses. And I actually, to this day, refer people to them for more specialized, things that they do in social media, PR, and all of that. So it worked out really well for them, because they were able to kind of learn some of the things from being part of my business and then able to, spin off their own. And so I've just really kind of decided to stay in my solo space. Even probably 3 or so years ago, I kind of went through that. Should I get bigger? Should I grow? I was looking at a lot of other businesses around me, a lot of other folks in the StoryBrand community who were hiring people and building, more of an agency style business. And I really wrestled with that. Like, oh, should I be doing that too? Everybody else is, right? I was kind of getting into a little bit of like the peer pressure. And then sort of feeling like, well, is your business not that successful if you aren't big, right? And so I kind of wrestled with that for a little bit. And then again, kind of came back to that conclusion that, yeah, I could go big, I could make $1 million, right? But it wasn't the lifestyle or the kind of business atmosphere that I wanted for myself. It's fine for other people. If that's what you want, that's great, go for it. But just wasn't me.
Yeah, gosh, you said so many things that my eyes were lighting up on because I was like, I have said that. And felt the same way. It is getting competitive with other people instead of designing your business and your work around what you want is a struggle, because you do see other people and they seem successful, especially if you follow their Instagram stories. It gets really tough to say, okay, what is that real life? First of all, what kind of life are they having to put together to make that happen? But second, am I successful without that? So then you have to go through this definition of, hey, what does success look like for me?
Right.
And am I okay if that doesn't put my name on a marquee somewhere? If I'm not like in the top 10 of this category, is that still success? And what does that success really mean? Is it money? Is it because I can spend more time doing the things I want? Like what you were saying when you're hiring people and you're like, wait, I didn't get any time from that.
No,
I traded skills because I had to manage people and work with them. And if you treat people well, there is an element of your time that has to be devoted to that. So these were all similar things that I wrestled with. There was a period of time where I was hell-bent, and I use that term very specifically because I feel like I started creating a lot of hell on earth for myself and other people. But I was hell-bent on creating a big marketing agency because I wanted a female-owned marketing agency to shine and show people that it was possible and good things can come through doing that, and that we needed some more female executives, female owned marketing agencies that could grow and produce jobs and do these things for people. And I was not happy trying to create that world because it didn't work for me on a personal level. I didn't get paid personally. I ended up throwing most of my money at trying to create and build that. I didn't have fulfillment from it because I felt like I was being torn in a million different directions. And you're right, I didn't get any time back by building this large thing. And then painfully went through a downsizing to figure out, okay, like what about this works and what doesn't. And where I've landed, Holly, I have a couple of people, a handful, I guess, of people that work part-time for me, for this business, really. And it's made such a difference who is sitting in those roles, because they have the people that are there, and some of it's longevity, but some of it's also just their personalities and what they're capable of doing. They have freed me up to do other things. But the growth, one of the questions that I ask myself, I have friends who ask themselves this is, okay, I can be a $350,000 business and pull in 100,000 or whatever that looks like. Or I can be $1 million business and pull in 100,000. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily change what you're bringing to your personal.
Oh my gosh, yes. So true.
So that's been a huge struggle to sort of figure out. But I'm curious, how do you get out of this comparison trap so that you're not competing with these other people that are growing bigger or look better? And maybe that's not even their real story, but
Right.
how do you stop comparing yourself to them?
I think we just always are going to do that to some degree, right? At some points we do it a lot. And then, I'm kind of at a point now where I don't really do that very much, but it's inevitable, right? Yeah. You do see somebody on like Instagram and they're like, I work 3 hours a week and I make millions. And you're like, what? Tell me more, right?
Yeah.
So it is. I think you see other people that are, seem like they're really maybe making more money than you if they do something similar. And it is hard, I think, sometimes to just put our blinders on and not pay attention to what everybody else is doing. But I think I've probably just felt more secure in the business that I have and what I do. And one of the things that's really important to me in my business is I try to make it very relational with my clients. So I tend to work with a little bit smaller businesses. So I'm usually working with the business owner directly, or maybe a couple of other, key like senior folks. And I really like building the relationships with folks, right? Getting to know a little bit more about them, helping them with their business, really kind of being able to help them, or help them solve their marketing problems, help them grow, help them feel more confident in the content that they're putting out there, that sort of thing. And I feel like I wouldn't have as much of that opportunity if I was outsourcing my work, right? If I had a bunch of other employees and I was just sort of making the sale and then letting them do all the work, I really wouldn't get to know people. And so for me, that's kind of a key business value and something that's really important. So just, I think, reminding ourselves of like what it is that we love about our business, what are those values that we have, how can we, and how we've been able to then craft a business that reflects those, right? So again, if I had 10 employees and I was passing clients off to all of them, I wouldn't really get to know those clients or know as intimately about their business, or even just them as people too.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like keeping the end game in mind. And again, it's constantly for me, this balance of time freedom and financial freedom at the same time, because there is some growth that I want to see in the business. It's not like I don't want to grow.
Right.
It's just, does the growth need to be in the millions?
Right.
For
Yes.
me to be satisfied and happy that I'm delivering value to people that I love.
Right. Yeah.
One of the questions though that I ask myself and I hear people asking around that is, but if you had the opportunity to serve more people like that, wouldn't you want to do that? And then that can turn into that millions of dollars. Do you ever feel constrained by only being able to serve as many people as you have capacity for?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, when you do work solo, I mean, yeah, there's only so many hours in the day, so there is an automatic cap to what I can do. I can't work 24/7, and I don't want to. And so there is a little bit of a ceiling there, but I don't know. I guess I feel like I've been fortunate enough that I've kind of able to manage, the workflow that I have, able to manage the number of clients that come in. I mean, obviously sometimes it ebbs and flows, right? Sometimes it can get really busy and several people want things all at once, and then it slows down a little and then it goes back up. So I don't worry too much about, gosh, I need to reach the masses. There also are other people that do what I do. So I can always refer someone if I'm not able to help them, or if I don't have the capacity at that point. I can always refer them up to someone else that I'm sure would do, a fantastic job for them.
So you feel like you're capable of providing value to more people because you have a good network.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's really important, is having the people that can step in and help you, whether it's a capacity issue and I just can't help someone at the moment, so let me pass them off, or maybe it's just something that I don't offer in my business, a skill that I don't have or that I don't provide, that someone else does, that I can either bring them in to partner with me on a project, or I can make a really good referral to a client, right? So having that network still allows me to serve the clients really well, because I can pull in the pieces as needed.
Yeah. One of the constraints that I feel by being alone sometimes is around, okay, I have to be on top of finances. I have to sell. I have to do client and customer experience management. And then I actually have to work and deliver.
Right. Yeah.
And
Oh
then,
yeah, the work.
right. And the things like marketing activities can fall by the wayside because you're trying to do all of these other pieces. And so partially, one of the things that I did to help solve for that was to bring in an executive assistant. Now, that's not growing a huge team,
Mhm.
but that does help manage some of the workflow of things, and standard sort of answers for questions can be handled that way. And then I can really dig into the big things with clients. Have you done that or experimented with it? And how did you feel about it?
Yeah. One of the best things I did a few years ago was hire a bookkeeper just to clean up
Yeah.
my QuickBooks, right? And kind of keep that stuff organized, and, so that when it comes, time to do taxes, the accountant has what they need and things like that. So I hate messing in that. It's not a good use of my time. And I get really irritated. So it's like, okay, let's hire that out, right? To somebody that can do it in a fraction of the time that it would have taken me, right? So that's definitely something. And then I do have a virtual assistant who helps me with some of my own marketing tasks, right? It's kind of hard. It always seems weird to, like, I do marketing, but then I have to hire someone else to help me with that. But, we can't do everything. So that's an area where I can still produce a fair amount of the content, but she can then take that and, get it ready for the weekly email, get it posted on the social platforms, help me kind of keep all that stuff moving, which has been hugely beneficial, because I was always falling behind in getting that stuff done because I was busy working on other stuff, for clients. And so you always feel like you have to put your paying work first, right?
Yeah.
And then the things for your own business kind of fall by the wayside. I'm doing that right now. I'm in the process of redoing my own website, needed a refresh and a redo. And so that had been on my to-do list for months. Finally got going on that. And I have done some, like, I've built my own websites in the past. Again, it is not my favorite thing to do. I'm not super great at it. So I decided, I have a graphic designer friend that I've worked with for many, many years. And he does a lot of that work. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have him do that for me. And I'm not going to mess with it myself. Then I know it'll look good. I'll get something off my plate. So definitely finding those areas where you can outsource some things. You're not necessarily hiring, staff, but again, you're able to just outsource some of those tasks that maybe aren't the best use of your time. So then I really can focus on, getting new clients and actually doing the work for people, all those things.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're not saying no team is helping us. Just
Right.
a little bit
That's
different.
right. Yes.
So maybe they're contractors, they're part-time people. Virtual is helpful. So you're not having overhead of an office or
Absolutely.
trying to interact like that on a regular basis.
Yep.
And some of it, so like an accountant or a bookkeeper takes some ongoing financial commitment, but contractors, many times you can scale up and scale down as you need them, which is so helpful when you don't have $1 million coming in. Right. So it's good to be able to sort of seasonally expand and contract.
Yes.
And I do think contractors are very helpful with that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And even just partnering with people, like I definitely have folks that I'm like, you want to work with me on this project? You do this piece, I'll do this piece, and so it's sort of having a team without having the responsibility of a team, but you're still getting the benefits of getting that work done and delivering the kind of work that you want.
Like you don't have to have weekly meetings.
Right. That's right.
Have an ongoing project that
Yeah.
needs weekly meetings, but it's not just like, here's our weekly employee meeting.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have the expense of that person, because if you hire people, you have to give them, I even remember when I had some contract folks, I still gave them like, a company email address. Well, I have to pay for that, right?
Yes.
You have more users on different pieces of software. So you have to pay for that. So there are, even in contractors, if they're ongoing people, sometimes there's an expense with that. So when you can partner with other folks on things, you don't have those expenses, but you still get the value of having that sort of team.
Yeah, that's a really great point. One of the things that you were talking about earlier, though, is outsourcing, like building a website or doing some graphic design or even posting on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about any conflicting feelings in your guts, Holly, about like handing off things that you can do.
Yeah. That is hard, right? When you're like, even the QuickBooks stuff, I guess I could do it. It could, right. Or yes, putting together my own emails or, posting on Instagram or whatever, yes, of course I can do all of that stuff, but it wasn't getting done. That's just the reality is just, it was not getting done. And I think especially in the marketing space, I have to really practice what I preach, right? So if I'm advising clients to send, emails to their list on a weekly basis, and I'm sending mine, I don't know, when I get to it, once a month, once a quarter, once a year. Yeah. Right. Then they're kind of like, but she said to send it weekly, but she can't even do it herself. How can we trust her?
Yeah.
So I think just, you have to look at that depending on the kind of business that you're in. But I think especially when you're in marketing, if you're telling people you should do this and you're not even doing it yourself. So I was like, all right, it's time for me to pull the trigger on getting some help with this. And so that's when I hired someone to help me just keep up with it. And it also gives me that accountability because I do have to provide her with some content pieces, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get this done. We need a new video or we need a new blog post or we need, whatever. Someone is waiting on me and I need to get this finished. So it does also give me a little bit of that
Well, stay
Accountability
consistent.
nudge. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, the fun part about that are the different stories that we tell ourselves, especially when we're doing it on our own and there's no accountability or doesn't feel like there is. Like things I used to tell myself is no one's really waiting to hear from me in this email. No one cares if I send this out or not.
Yeah.
But the more that we grow our audience, it's funny that there are people sometimes who hit me up and they're like, hey, where's the thing? And then I'm like, wow, someone is really waiting
Yeah.
that to be sent through. I don't think everyone is, but there is some accountability there when you start growing people who are dependent on the information. If
Mhm.
it's valuable enough, they
That's
become
right.
dependent on the information and from hearing from you, like, and worry about you. They care, which is great. They worry about you. Is anything
Yeah.
wrong? Are you
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Well,
but that's a funny thing, like a lie maybe that I told myself, like no one's really waiting around for this, but the world is waiting for us to give our
that's
information and
right.
be consistent with it. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and it can also be easy to just to spend the money or hard to spend the money on that kind of stuff too, right? Is because we kind of think, well, I mean, I can do it myself. So should I really be spending $500 to pay someone for that or, whatever the amount is?
yeah.
Um, but really looking at your own time, and how valuable that is. And if someone is paying you, maybe they're paying you thousands of dollars for a project. Okay, well, I could be spending my time on that, or I could be fighting with QuickBooks for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, let's figure out what makes sense here.
Yes, 100%. And one of the things that helped me overcome that barrier, especially whenever it came to like marketing type activities for us, like putting things in the email, uploading to
Mm,
YouTube, whatever it might be,
yep.
was I measured when we do these activities, what happens with my business? Well, there was a direct correlation between my doing marketing activities and leads coming in the door.
Yes.
So then I'm like, there is a real ROI
Hmm. Yep.
and it's worth spending that money because if I can't get to it, then what happens? Leads go away. Now,
Hmm.
doing something like QuickBooks is a little bit more difficult to think
Hmm.
about, but you're right. It's a time thing.
Yes.
What am I spending my time doing? And having some KPIs around how much administrivia am I doing and what really is my hourly rate that I could kind of make if I'm putting hours into productive work.
Hmm.
So how much does this cost me versus how much time I'm spending on it?
Yes.
And am I paying myself for these activities like negative money? Yeah, a
That's
lot of
right.
times I
Yes.
was, especially when it comes to things like bookkeeping.
Ugh, yeah. Which also just mentally, I just disdain. Right. So there's also just some of that, like just like I just don't want to do that.
Yeah,
So who can do that for me?
right.
And,
Mental taxes.
yes.
I
Mhm.
pay those a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and your point about the return on the marketing, like when I really, really got serious about, hiring someone for that and getting the help and having her kind of help me, stay on track. I noticed that the email open rates increased when I started sending those, with consistency and more frequency. And that, I would have people say, oh, I saw that email. I got your email. I watched that video. Like, oh, yay, people are paying attention. Or someone responds, that's on your email list for months and says, hey, can we jump on a call to talk about, a project or whatever. So you're
Yeah.
right, there is a real, it's not always immediate,
No, hardly
right?
ever. Hardly ever.
That's right. Right. Again, if someone wants to respond to the email and hire me for $1 million, it's cool. But it usually is that it's that long game, right? And so we have to be willing to invest. And that's the same thing we tell our clients, right? It's not that you always see those marketing, changes like overnight. Sometimes you do. But lots of times it's like we just have to keep investing in this and it does pay off in the long run.
So much. And it just makes me remember a thing that Mike McAllowitz said. I don't know, a couple of months ago, I was on webinar with him, and he said that you need to market to your niched audience for a year before you're really established in a leads and sales cycle.
Wow. Yeah.
I was like, okay, thank you for someone finally saying that out loud. I mean, we know it intuitively because we market, and if people come and do a 90-day thing with us, sometimes it pays off, but mostly it doesn't. So
Right.
it's just not enough time for
Yeah.
people to be introduced to us and decide to start doing business with us. The nurture cycle is longer than that.
Yes. Yes.
So it's good to know for ourselves,
Mhm.
consistency pays off, but it is a long game,
Mhm.
just like search engine optimization.
Right. Yeah.
Really long game of consistent
Yeah.
content production.
Mhm.
And putting that out there into the world, but that people are looking for. I get responses to emails
Yeah.
fairly regularly. And sometimes it's just personal because I share personal stories in my emails. And so sometimes they're like, let me call that couch place for you so we can get your couch delivered.
That's awesome. But
Which
they're
I
reading
love.
it. That's so great.
Yes, I love that people care about my life
Mhm.
enough to interact and respond in that way. So that's fun. But also there are people that are responding to the marketing content and information
Yeah.
and asking questions, and then sometimes moving forward into doing business, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
It's huge. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I'll share just a quick little example of that. I was doing a talk for our local chamber of commerce just a couple of weeks ago on the StoryBrand marketing framework. We had probably about 30 or so people in the room, and one gentleman that I know, during kind of the Q&A time, he said, "Oh, you guys should make sure that you connect with Holly on LinkedIn because she's always sharing like these really great marketing videos and content and stuff." And I was like, "That's amazing."
I
Thank
didn't know
you.
anyone was reading that.
Yeah, well, right. So it's kind of like, and again, but it goes back to your point too, that they expect it, right? If you put things out there consistently, people start to associate you with that and go, "Hey, she's the person that gives good marketing content." Great. That's exactly what I want to be known for.
Yes.
And then to have someone share that with a room full of 30 odd people is fantastic, right?
Yes. And when they do that, Holly, I just want to encourage everyone, if you have a similar experience, which I know you have, if you're a business owner, you have had a similar experience to that, write that person's name down. They are one of your top promoters, and you need to find other ways that you can nurture that relationship to promote your content and your business because they're willing to do it. They did it without your asking.
I know. Well, he definitely got a copy of the Building a StoryBrand book that day.
Yes, that's a perfect example, Holly, like offering a book, some small gesture of a gift and a thank you for that interaction
Yes.
goes a long way for that to continue to be a spontaneous promotion of your business.
Yeah.
So I think it's always a good idea to look out for those things and be like, wait, that is a place where it's a beacon for my business. And I didn't even
Yes.
realize I had created that. Okay, so what else in terms of like spending time being sort of this solopreneur, which might be a bit of a misnomer based on what we're talking about, because we're talking about partnering,
Mhm.
contracting,
Mhm.
hiring out certain functions like
Yes.
our bookkeeping and some executive assistant functions.
Mhm.
What else has made you feel like this is the right path? Is there anything else that you've sort of wrestled through and been like, okay, I feel this in my bones. It's the right thing and it's developing fruit over here.
Mhm. I think a couple of things. One is that, kind of like I mentioned earlier, it's just that sort of relational piece. And I do get a lot of clients that I think they like working with me, right? And we hire people because we like them, right? Like we have some sort of connection with them. Yes, they might be hiring my company, but they're really hiring me, right? And so if I get a good testimonial back from someone, or a good feedback on a project or something like that, I think that sort of um feeds my decision, right? That, like, yes, I want to be the face right, that people are interacting with, and not just not just the CEO on the website, but the person that folks are actually hiring and doing business with. So I think that for me is just a really good, just really reinforces that. And I think a lot of it too is just kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, which is figuring out what your definition of success looks like. And for me, that's some of that is being able to set my own like schedule and have control of my time. Maybe being able to do something during the day that I can do, or I can take time out for that, or I can, run errands during the day, or I can make sure, get my daughter picked up from school, or different things like that, where I don't have to worry, is anybody wondering about me, or I don't have to ask someone, or I don't have to let the staff know that I'm going to be out. Like I can just kind of do my own thing and have a lot of control then over my own schedule. As we all know, I mean, when you have a business, you don't have all the freedom that people think you do.
Yeah.
So let's be clear, but you can adjust as needed, right? And so for me, that's just really important. And so that's going to be the thing that, makes me go, yep, this is good. Just doing my own thing, setting my own hours, getting the work done myself. That's fine for me.
Yeah. One of the things I'm hearing while you're saying some of these things are personal fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So this act of your being able to be valuable to another human being in a one-to-one setting is hugely personally fulfilling for you.
Yes.
And so you want to continue that kind of relationship building through your business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a more enjoyable work atmosphere for you is when you can have that one-to-one impact. I love that because I feel that too. I'm friends with most of the people that I serve.
Yeah.
I enjoy being friends. And sometimes it's, our marketing consults, our therapy sessions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Probably for both of us, if I'm admitting, but a lot of times, and that is a personally fulfilling thing, is like the part where I become the cheerleader for someone else to build a successful business is fulfilling to me, to say, hey, I did something that impacted, I think, a lot of people, because in the end, even though it's a one-to-one transaction that's happening, the people that they impact are still part of
Yes.
you're accomplishing there. So
absolutely.
wonderful.
Absolutely. And that relational feeling, that may not be everyone. Like not every business owner is like that. Not every client is like that, right? But I feel like the people that like that, then they're drawn to you for that reason. And so that's fine if you set your business up to be a little more, I don't want to say impersonal, but
Transactional, maybe.
But more transactional. Yeah, exactly. We're just doing the work, we're getting it done. And I'm more like, how was your weekend? How are the kids? And it's like 5 minutes of chit chat before we get into other things, right? That's me, and that's how I like to operate,
Yeah. And I'm feeling like right now I have sort of this hybrid that I have created that is offering me a sweet spot of personal freedom, financial freedom, and fulfilling work at the same time. So full disclosure here, like your path does not look the same as mine at this moment.
Yeah.
Not that either one of them are right or wrong. This is working for me. That is working for you.
Yeah.
Which brings me back to that concept of define your goals. What does success look like to you? And I think part of that is really walking that out in real life. Does it look like on social media, you can say certain things that mean success to you? For some people that is, and that's okay. But for others, like you want to be able to work in your garden for half the day, or hey, you have kids, you want to be able to go on a boat with them if they get early release from school, or like whatever the activities are. That this business that we're building constantly is about more than just work. It's not just a career. It's about the kind of life that we're trying to build for ourselves and the way we're breathing life into others. So I think however that ends up looking, and there are frameworks that can help you set that up the way you want, but if you can define what that outcome looks like in real life on
Yeah.
the day to day,
Mhm.
then I think you get a lot closer to saying, oh, wait, this is success. At
Mhm.
$150,000 in revenue, I am successful. Or at
Yeah.
$500,000 or $1,500,000, like whatever that turns out to be,
Yeah.
you can sort of check the box of success, but only if you've defined what success looks like.
Mhm. Yes.
So maybe we've solved world problems here.
I feel like we have. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to talk about this more with other people because maybe it just looks different across the board for whoever's building the business.
Yeah.
Or I would love to be challenged to be like, no, it is your responsibility to build millions of dollars in business. I'm happy to take that feedback and wrestle with it more because it is something that sort of sits out in the world as a message that we're hearing on a regular basis.
Mhm.
And I'm not at the point of giving it the Heisman yet, like, no, you're wrong, I'm right. It's one of these things I'm constantly trying to grapple with and figure out what's my way
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
making that work for me.
But I think you're right. I mean, in helping clients, there's a trickle down there. In me hiring a website designer to help me with a project, there's a trickle down there that's helping their business, or if they happen to have staff or whatever. So it's not like we're just making the money and like hoarding it all ourselves and not investing in other people or other people's businesses too.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Valid point. And you're not saying do everything by yourself because I don't think that's
Right.
feasible. It's
And
just a
no.
different way of working with other people.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I think really, yeah, honing in on those things that, are worth investing in and outsourcing the things that you just don't like to do or the things that you just need help with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what's so funny is the more that I use other people to help me accomplish things,
Mhm.
is the more I realize that I wasn't the best person to be doing those things to begin with.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
have gifts, I'm aware of that, but like bookkeeping is not one.
Yeah.
Bookkeeping is not a gift.
Mm-mm.
And there are other activities that are related to marketing and or even fulfillment of some of my contracts that are not my personal gifts, though I know how to look at them strategically and say this is the right path versus that. So I do think some of this is also finding your own sweet spot and how
Yes.
you bring the best value to the table.
Mhm. Yeah, my time is best spent on the writing.
Mm,
Right,
yeah.
and writing, doing the deliverables for the clients, meeting with them, doing their messaging, putting together their website copy, whatever that is that we're working on. That's the best use of my time.
Yeah.
So wasting time in QuickBooks or putting the emails together in MailChimp, can I do those things? Sure. But again, it's not the best use of my skill set, right? So those are things that I should pay someone else to do.
Yeah. And that's a great place to sort of close this out. Finding your personal sweet spot,
Mhm.
identifying the best use of your time, and then finding other people, whether it's employees or contractors, that can help you do the things where either you don't love them. I don't think it's just like I can't do this because like we were talking about with some of those marketing activities, you don't love doing setting something up in MailChimp.
Mhm.
So why spend your time doing that? So you think
Right.
there's a couple of categories that you can kind of checklist. Do I
Mhm.
love this activity? Yes or no. Am I great at this activity? Yes or no. Do I provide amazing value in this activity? Yes or
Yeah.
no. Then that can help you decide what you get off of your plate and then
Mhm.
how.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And I think a coach helps you work through some of those things. I don't know if you've had any experience with that.
Yeah, I have. I've worked with folks a couple of different times, and even last year, I was actually in a mastermind for the entire year, and that was hugely helpful in kind of going, okay, here are some things I need to stop doing. Here's some things I should do. Just sort of getting some perspective. Yeah, definitely recommend that.
Perspective is everything because other people can see sometimes where you're gifted and you may not see it. Other people can also see what you're holding on to and help you sort of sort through why. Why are you holding on to that thing when you could be doing this? And you have some sort of psychological resistance
Yeah.
to moving forward into better. There are a
Yeah.
lot of those. Mastermind has been hugely helpful for me as well, for other people to be able to pinpoint what is keeping me from that next step to success.
Yes.
So highly recommend having a mastermind group. So
Yeah, agree.
yeah. Well, Holly, as always, it's a pleasure to speak with you. And I know we'll talk more because this is just so valuable to me personally. Whether or not it's valuable to anyone else, I'm sure it will be. But
we've just gotten a lot out of it. So
every time. So I always get excited about it.
Yeah.
But you had already talked about how people could reach you on your website. And I just want to mention that again. It's fisher-creative.com.
Yes.
And yeah, and messaging, marketing, Holly's your gal.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
All the words.
All the words that help you get to deliver more value to more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
All right. Well, Holly, it's been a pleasure. And just let me know if there's anything else that I can do for you. And we'll be talking to everyone again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Tina.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, you reached the end. Congratulations and thanks for watching. One quick question before you go. Did you find this interesting? Do you think someone else that you know could benefit from the information you heard here today? Well, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe and hit that bell so you can get notifications for when more of this information comes out. By hitting like, it means that this content goes out to other people just like you who might also be able to benefit from this information and can build a more profitable business so they can do more life. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.